Yeah. Okay, sexual morality and genetics. It's really easy to understand why we have sexual morals if you understand genetics. Let me tell you a little story. A young man and a young woman want to go off and get married, and neither family wants to support them. I don't care what the reasons are, they just go off all by themselves, stake out some land, because this is like a long time ago when there was a whole bunch of land just waiting for someone to go, hey, this is mine. Okay? Out in the middle of nowhere, they build themselves a little farm. So these two young people, they go out and they have their own little place, and they invite a couple of friends so the kids can have someone to play with and, grow up and marry each other, and we could expand our little empire here. Again, when these people want to have kids, they are going to have more people for their kids to marry into. And well, this is where you got to start keeping track of who fathered what kids, so you know how to arrange marriages. Early arranged marriages were not for land and political gain. In the beginning, it was just to keep our society from inbreeding with itself. So, at this point in time, it started to be necessary to keep track of who fathered what child. We'd have things like Robinson and Thompson and Davidson and Billison, Williamson, yeah. Like I said, I have a problem with labels. Anyways, so it would be wise to increase the potential mate pool for their children. If, sorry women, you were baby factories. We needed offspring and you provided them. Having 10 children was something that they were expecting out of you. One was to run off and have children with a different man. And, different men run off and have sex with different women. Increase the gene pool for future generations. Again, tracking who fathered what child. If a woman cannot tell you who the father of her child is, he is labeled a bastard. Maybe even made a eunuch, so he can't possibly breed with the wrong mate. So, this was encouraged to increase the size of the gene pool. But then, it was frowned upon because homosexuality was frowned upon, because if you, choose to live in an environment where you cannot have offspring, you ruin the future gene pool. If you were married and, played the other side of the fence just for the fun of it, that wasn't so taboo. You made your contribution to the gene pool. It's just like having a different choice. Variety is the spice of life. Well, you know that variety is the spice of life. Okay, not too bad. And now this brings us to marriage. You see, after a while, there's still, a desire to have a wider gene pool, limited picks. A young man and a bunch of his buddies would run off, go exploring into a nearby settlement or even a lone farmhouse and breaking and entering, except instead of robbing you from your material wealth, they grab your daughter and they run off. The groomsmen are there to provide protection and strength in numbers. The best man is the dude that carries the other half of the hope chest. The hope chest is, because people knew this was going to happen, that you could all of a sudden get whisked away into a married life, so you put stuff that you're going to want when you're married in a hope chest, so that when they show up and whisk you away, they grab the chest and then you can set up your new home. It was done like that way back. The marriage ceremony is this tradition and rituals that took place when this was happening, being dressed in white to verify virginity, which back then it had to be examined by a midwife of some type to prove that you're a virgin, and that way they know the bloodline is clean, and they say it in front of the entire village, this woman is mine, you don't go messing around and screwing up bloodlines where you father a kid, but to save face, she says it's mine, which will, What's the point of keeping track of bloodlines if we're going to be doing stuff like that? And that's what marriage fidelity is based on. He knows those are his kids. He knows that he's the only man he's ever had kids to. It works. That's what this is all about. I mean, the bridesmaid, I guess, could symbolize, the one friend that she had before she got whisked away that she was able to keep in contact with. I mean, they didn't totally isolate you from your former family, but, time and distance. And it may not be easy to get together back then because travel was kind of limited, okay? So, that's how sexual morality and genetics have created the moral and ceremonial marriage statements. I mean, I just love it. Sorry women, you were baby factories. We needed offspring and you provided them. Having 10 children was something that they were expecting out of you. But that's not a bad thing because it was also your responsibility to raise the kids to be good members of society and not troublemakers, okay? The state of the world is because I guess single-parent homes just don't work and we have a whole bunch of violence and dissatisfaction going on because women just fell down on the job because they thought being a housewife and a mother was a menial task, and it's not. It's like one of the most important ones that we have in society. Okay? Yes. You were considered property at one time because they had to keep the bloodline straight. So therefore you're mine and nobody else can touch you. Sorry. It's just what happened because we wanted to be able to continue as a species until we made it this far.